All right, folks, I know it's getting close to the end of the year and you all have a lot to do, but I'm still going to ask you, what are you doing? Hello, folks. I'm your host, Chad Stanton, and on this show, it's not about me and what I'm making in my shop, but what you are making in your shop. Now, we have a decent little show for you today, but before we get into it, I want to take a second just to mention that I'm going to be in Plainwell, Michigan tomorrow, Tuesday, at a woodworking guild there, where I'm the guest speaker. So if you're in that area and you want to come on out and meet some other fellow woodworkers and kind of hear what I'm going to be talking about in my presentation, you are more than welcome. And I will have that information at the bottom in the description there. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into the show. Starting off this week is a new fella. His name is Mike Belovsky. And Mike said he's been remodeling his house for several years now. And I chuckle at that because I completely understand. I don't think I'm ever done doing work on my house. But Mike felt that he wanted a TV console for his living room. So he did something kind of unique. It's like a shelf unit that sits just below the TV there. And he said he tried something new, something he never did before, and that was the curved drawer fronts on it. And I think this is a neat piece. I mean, obviously walnut is a beautiful wood. I like the fact that it's kind of simple. It's like a floating shelf versus some kind of stand for the TV to be on. And I do like that touch of the curved drawer. I always think anytime you can throw a curve into a furniture design, it gives it a softer look, a more interesting look to it. So really nice job there, Mike. Thanks for sending that in to us. Dwight Lundeen. Now, Dwight last week actually sent these photos in to me, and I asked if he could hold off until this week because he had another project last week. And so what he did was he made these pens. And the pens are made out of olive wood and cocobolo. I like that word, cocobolo. And it was funny because in the email, Dwight was saying, don't look too fine at it. I've got mistakes. Don't be too critical of my work. And as I always say on the show, we're not critical of it. In fact, I can honestly say I have never turned a pen. I mean, I've turned legs and I've turned balusters and rails, but I've never turned a pen. So by no means would I ever criticize anyone's work, especially if I haven't done it. So Dwight, don't worry about it. I think the pens look great. I think anyone that would get them would be really honored to have a nice looking pen like that. So thanks for sending it in. Eugene Marcha. Eugene made a jewelry box, and he made it for his aunt. And I always like when people make gifts for others because it's so easy to go online and click and buy something or to go into the store and purchase it and wrap it up. But when you make it, all the focus and attention to detail and all the love is put into the project. So he made this for his aunt, and it's made out of curly maple and walnut. And he used splines on the corners because the corners are mitered. He put the splines in it. But I like the little detail that he did. Take a look, the splines in it change in size. And you've heard me say it before on the show that I think small projects are tougher than big ones because we hold them up close to us, we look at all the sides, we really scrutinize a small project versus a big project like that bench that I did. The customers aren't going to be picking that thing upside down and flipping it all around and looking at it. So, yeah, definitely nice job on that, Eugene. And I'm sure your aunt just absolutely loved it. All right, my friend Phillip Quinn. I often joke with Phillip that he's got to be the cutting board king, because not only does he make nice cutting boards, this guy is selling them. Every time he turns around and makes one, boom, it sells, which I think is awesome that you guys are able to make money off of doing what you love. But here he's got a couple cutting boards. One has the end grain to it, and the other one is a walnut and maple. And what I like on the walnut and maple one is it's subtle, but look how the handles for it go perfectly in line with the maple stripes through it. So I think that's really cool. I don't know if you planned it that way or if you just got lucky, but it's little things like that, being able to bring your pieces all together, just make it pleasing to the eye, looks great. So thanks, Phillip. All right, my other friend, Peter Compton, over there in Australia. And Peter's got a friend who has I think it's a restaurant and like a wine shop. And so he's made stuff for them periodically. And what he did this time was, check this out, he made these candle stands, I guess if you will, candle holders, where he's got half of it, the bottle of wine, and then obviously the bottom half is turned with the candle in it. Cute, really cute, nice design there. I like that quite a bit. I was curious how he cut the bottles. He also made some Christmas ornaments, and he clearly turned these on the lathe. And Dennis always tells me, if you can turn a perfect sphere on the lathe, then you are a skilled, accomplished turner. He said that is kind of like one of the ultimate goals that you turners, I guess, strive for, is making the perfect sphere. And it looks like Peter's on his way to doing that. So thanks for sending that in. Brad Soulchin. Now, I got to feel a little bit bad for Brad because it's like a Dr. Seuss book all of a sudden. Because last week, Brad was preparing for a craft show down there where he lives, and he had a whole bunch of plaques made and other stuff to sell, some pens and whatnot. And unfortunately, the rain was so bad, the show was canceled. Which, that's a real drag when you're kind of looking forward to something and you make extra inventory for it, and then, you're kind of stuck with it. But that's okay, because Brad has been working on a bookcase, and he just resumed work on that. And he did something new. He is working with his plunge router, and he's making some fluted columns for the bookcase, which I imagine is going to look great. But what I like about it is, he said, I'm not real familiar with my plunge router, and so he did some practice cuts before. And this is always a wise thing to do. Even if you are familiar with your tool, it doesn't hurt to make a couple of practice cuts on something. When I did the bench, I practiced making a couple of angled mortise holes and an angled tenon. I did several practice pieces before I did on that finished bench. So good habit to get into there, Brad, and anxious to see that bookcase. Don Bullock. Don is a busy guy. Don has his little shop out there, and he decided for the holidays he was going to make, I don't remember if it was 12 or 13, I want to say 13, ice cream scoopers. And I hate doing production work. I am kind of like a one-off guy, just one time and that's it. But Don saw this as a way to be a little bit different with each one of the scoopers. So he didn't turn the same handle each time. He tried to have each one slightly different. So at first glance in the photo, you would say, oh, okay, they're the same. But when you look at them a little bit closer, you can see the shape is a little bit different, the ends are a little bit different. So he said he actually had a lot of fun doing that and being creative in it. So great gifts you're giving out there, Don, because like, who doesn't love ice cream? All right, so this next person is new to the show, and I not only want to welcome her, but I want to tell other folks out there who might be like this individual to not be concerned or worried. So Mary Martinez, she did a couple of things. She wanted to practice some different joinery and using her tools, and just something new for her, right? And instead of just doing a practice piece, she thought, I'm going to actually make something with it. So she made this gun rack, and she did rabbets on it and dados for the first time. She put it together with biscuits. There's no pocket screws on this, and it's made out of maple. And she was hesitant to send it to me because she thought like maybe I was going to scrutinize it and judge it. I think it looks amazing. I just think it's great. It's a nice look. I really even like the sides of it. It's got the panel on the side. It's a nice looking cabinet. And I admire her for taking the opportunity to say, you know what, I need to practice some new joinery, and then just going for it and making a whole project. I definitely know it pushed her out of her comfort zone, and look what we can do when we step out. So great job on that, Mary, and I really thank you for sending that in. I know you're a little bit nervous. Hopefully anyone else out there, if you're nervous about sending your work, don't be. We don't judge here, okay? It's just a place to encourage and inspire others. All right, the next fella, I guess butchered his last name pretty bad. And hey, let's face it, you all have come to expect that from me. If I don't screw someone's name up in the show, it's not a good show. So he even sent it to me spelled out phonetically, and I still think I'm going to say it wrong. So Alan, I'll put your full name here in text, but I'm not going to try and say it again. Anyhow, Alan, if you recall from last week, Alan is probably working in the smallest shop I've ever encountered. He's working in a 12-foot by 3-foot workspace. He lives in South Korea, and space is a rare commodity there. And so obviously in this small area, he can't have any power tools, so he's using hand tools. And he's going to be making a TV console for him and his wife there. So here's some more photos of the work in progress that he's given us. And again, it's inspiring. Anytime we want to complain about, oh, we don't have enough space, or I don't have the right tool, or whatever, look what these folks are doing with limited items. So it's very, very encouraging. Thanks for sending that in to us, Alan. All right, let's see, page 2. Michael Housel. Michael has for a while been working on a bathroom vanity. Now, if I recall, I think Michael said he's fairly new to woodworking, and he's making this bathroom vanity out of pallet wood. And I remember telling him, I said, wow, you got a real challenge in front of you, because even though the pallet wood is free, it's typically not the best wood. So it's probably going to warp and twist and split. And if you can get through this project, it's actually going to make you a better woodworker because of what you're fighting with. And he said, without a doubt, he's been challenged on it. It's been giving him a hard time. He's been running into problems that he didn't foresee. But he's a great example of sticking with it. He said, even though sometimes the problems were unexpected, it didn't get him frustrated, not to the point where he wanted to quit. He did have to step back and figure out how he was going to do it, and that took a little bit of time. It slowed him down. But then he realized that he increased his knowledge by having that problem, and it only inspired him to keep going forward than to quit. So I think that's great, Michael. And again, for the other viewers out there, if you get frustrated with your project, that's okay. Step away from it, walk away. Reach out to myself or another woodworker for some ideas. But just take a break from it, and you'll get it. Trust me, it comes to you. Dennis Rochon. Dennis or Rochon, one of those. Dennis has a daughter, and she lives in a small apartment. And she needed some more storage space, especially for the kitchen. So Dennis made this pantry for her. And again, what's nice about this, it's like a standalone piece, right? I mean, she's probably going to put some canned goods in it, but if later in her life she wants to use it for something else, like putting towels and linens in it, she can. That's what I love about standalone furniture pieces versus cabinets where you bolt them on the wall, because then it's kind of designated and it's there and it's done. But when you have something like this pantry, she could literally move it to any room she wants and use it for anything. So great job on that, Dennis. And Dennis was telling me he had some things listed in the email, I can't remember, but he's already got his next projects scheduled to start working on. So I know we'll be seeing more of Dennis's work. All right, John Hutchinson. Now, John said that he was going to make a lamp from a tree, a log, that was on his property that fell down. Now, reading that, I kind of expected like a traditional looking lamp. But then I remembered it's John Hutchinson. John is classic for the ones that we all know, the disco hands, the giraffe-eating tree lamp, the dynamite duo, I think was last week. And so now this week he's got lamp from a log. Yeah, John likes to make these whimsical little moving animated pieces. And you can see these guys are sawing the log, and he's using the log pieces to build the lamp. Pretty clever. I'm always amazed with his stuff because it's mechanical, it's also woodworking, and it's just fun. It's a fun piece. But it looks like those guys probably need to sharpen that saw blade because they're not making too much progress on it. Frank Yazzetta. Frank's been on the show several times in the past, and he's back again with a new piece. And Frank is really good at making these Soulchin lamps. So this one is made out of black walnut and spruce wood. And he said it's 50 inches long. And what I like about these lamps is they come across as looking very simple. But I know there's intricate joinery, a lot of half laps and bridle joints and stuff that make that lamp go together. So even though it looks very delicate, it actually has some very strong joinery on it. And so Frank sent that in to show us, and thank you for that, Frank. And I imagine you'll be working on another one real soon. Geroge Wilmore. George, like many folks on the show, are busy making gifts before the holiday. And George made a couple of these little scroll saw boxes. One is made out of cherry and maple, and the other is made out of maple and walnut. And he said this was the first time using a scroll saw, and he discovered something. He really likes using it, so he definitely knows he's going to be looking for more projects in the future where he's going to be using his scroll saw. And that's exciting. That is always exciting when you find, I mean, you're already in woodworking, something you like, but then you kind of zero in on something in particular that you're really, really interested in, and it kind of gets the juices flowing and the blood pumping and that. So I'm glad you are zeroing in on the love of the craft there for you. So I'll be anxious to see more of what you'll be sending us, George. Okay, my friend Frank Howard. Frank has been working on this humidor box for his father-in-law for a while, he said. And, well, you know what? Instead of me explaining what Frank has got going on, Let's hear it from Frank himself.
Well, it is done. The humidor that I've been working on for about a year. And thanks to you, Chad, for giving me the motivation to do it. It's made out of purple heart and hard maple, lined with Spanish cedar. Notice I've installed a humidifier and gauge for the cigars. All the joints and the corners are box joints. No metal fasteners other than for the hinges. And it is ready to go. I will try to film my father-in-law receiving this. Thank you so much, Chad.
Well, thank you, Frank. Not only does the box look great, but thank you for those kind words. I'm glad this show was able to inspire you to complete the box. All right, Karl Blankenship. Now, Karl's another fellow who's trying to make some gifts before the holidays are upon us, and he's got some small pieces of scrap wood, and he made something that I've never heard of before. It's a thumb ring for books. Now, this isn't his own idea. He actually saw this online. He saw a plastic one that Amazon offers, and I guess it's probably more for like paperback books. So you'd slip it over your thumb there, and so you can hold the pages open. I don't know. I typically use two hands, but whatever. I asked him, does it really work? And he says, yeah, it works, but he's not sure if the thumb ring is for him. But he said, you know what? There's a lot of folks in his family that read, and again, it's using small scraps of wood that you'd probably just throw out, and make little great gifts to give away. So that's what Karl's doing this week, and we'll see what he's got for us next week. Tom Bertino. Tom is making a gift for his grandchild. It's his first grandchild. He's very excited, and so he's trying to, by Christmas time, make a rocking horse. But the rocking horse is going to be a motorcycle. And so last week he had the templates for the pieces. This week he's got them roughed out. He said he cut them out on the bandsaw. And I think he said the body is being glued up and in clamps right now. So by next week, I imagine he'll have a lot more progress done on it. But I'm actually kind of excited. I'm wondering how detailed the engine will be and everything on it. So I'm excited to see it there, Tom. And also, too, Tom couldn't help but send in the grandchild that will be receiving this amazing gift from him. So that's cute. That's great. A lot of fun there. Okay, now wrapping up the show, I'm saving the best for last. And I hate using that term because, as I said, I don't judge here, and, nobody is really on a different level. We're not comparing in that because we're all learning every day, right? Doesn't matter what your skill level is, we all should be learning. If you're not learning something, get out of that comfort zone. But this is from Tim Fuller. Now, Tim is retired, so he has probably more time on his hands than most of us, but he's using that time wisely. Tim is really an exceptional woodworker, and here he's made a Mora clock, and he doesn't just make clocks. He makes rocking chairs and tables, and he is an amazing woodworker. And the reason I'm showing this last is, again, to inspire us. We should always be striving to improve. And when I see this, I definitely get excited on it. And right away, I start thinking, oh, how did he do that? Or, I wish I could see that a little bit closer. And if you're interested in seeing more of his stuff, I'm going to put his Facebook page down there in the description, where he's got a ton of photos. And again, you can go there and get ideas. And you know what? Send Tim a message. Say it's from me. Say Chad sent you. But no, let's not flood his box or anything with that. But definitely check his work out, because it is a high skill level, and it is inspiring for us. So Okay, that wraps up the show for this week. If you would like to send your photos in to me to be on the show, send it to woodchoppingtime@gmail.com. Or if you have a woodworking question that you would like me to answer or help you through it, same thing. Send it to that email address, and I will get back with you to help you become a better woodworker. All right, until next time, keep on dancing.